Hey everybody, welcome back to Hart Talks. Well, if you are not subscribed to Hart Talks, then please make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I do interesting and eventful and exciting interviews, and that's what I'm doing today with these two gentlemen.
You know.
I'm really pleased to be joined by Rob Eyles and Philip Dehany. Both of these guys have stories of what they do, you know, an agent, a voice coach, and Philip has been that stagey blog for, is it
3 years now?
3 years. So there's a lot of stuff that they've done, but they are doing something completely new, and they are starting a new campaign, a new
charity initiative.
Good term. Called That Fest. So the guys have agreed to meet with me today so that we can have a little chat about it, can't we?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll ask Rob this question. So Rob, tell us what That Fest is.
So That Fest is a charity initiative basically in reducing stigma and raising awareness around HIV. It's basically set up to produce events, talks, shows, singles, music videos, initially with the prospect of trying to involve as many HIV positive artists as possible from all walks of life to heighten and reducing that stigma around who it infects and who has it really. The long-term goal is to keep doing that and to keep raising awareness around it really.
Yeah, and to support the HIV charities as well. So a lot of the events that we'll do will have a designated charity. So we've got a single coming up, which is our first project, and that will be in support of the Terence Higgins Trust. But going beyond that, we do hope to that's a huge charity that we all know of.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of smaller charities that we'll definitely love to try and help and support as much as we can.
So that was going to be the next question for you. I was going to say, why is it so important that you do something to amplify these voices?
What we want to do is celebrate the artists who are living with HIV, to amplify their voices and to recognise them and to kind of reduce the kind of misconception that HIV is a gay disease, that it can affect and does affect anybody. And I think that is what we kind of really want to reinforce, to kind of not to worry or scare people, just for people to be alert,
be aware,
and aware. I've met some incredible people who are living with HIV, just like you do. But I've met a Muslim man, a trans woman, some beautiful women who just don't let anything hold them back. They celebrate life to the full, and they're inspirational. And for what we want to do, we kind of want to give them their spotlight. We're looking back and celebrating some incredible artists like Freddie Mercury and Howard, who wrote Little Mermaid, and these are the kind of works that we recognise as brilliant pieces that are timeless. But when you break it down, they were written by people that we've lost because of HIV, and the work that they would have gone on to produce and create. It's such a shame that we've lost them, but within that, we want to celebrate the legacy that they did leave us and the work that they do. So our first few events, we're specifically going to use music that celebrates artists living with HIV and artists who we've lost to HIV. So all the songs will have a connection. I mean, we'll be, particularly with the first song that we're doing as a single, is Erasure's A Little Respect. Because as we know, Andy Bell is living with HIV, and he's such a role model.
And has been open about it for years, hasn't he? So many years.
Well, that's it. I mean, we're very kind of proud of Billy Porter for recently coming out. But like you say, like Andy Bell did it years ago and has always spoken up about it. And his music's incredible. And like we owe a lot to him. Especially from a theatre point of view as well. He's a patron at Above the Stack. He's done his own shows there. He's just released a new album last year, which he's taking on tour. So he's continuing to. It's one of those cases where he's not surviving; he's thriving. And we want to do that. We want to kind of find as many artists living with HIV that are life handy, that we want to celebrate and amplify.
So, as you guys know this, but when I found out I was positive, my agent at the time told me that nobody with HIV would ever work on the stage in a lead role. For me, that already had stigma about HIV because it was 2006. I wasn't informed. I wasn't educated as much as I should have been. So that stigma stayed with me for a lot of years, until I started writing my story and doing my thing. So I know how important it is for people to be able to tell their stories. So what you guys are doing is going to be really, really beneficial to a lot of people. So are you ready for the difference that it's going to make? Because I think it really will.
It's interesting the thing you say about when you found out you were HIV positive, you didn't know a huge amount about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something to be said about people that don't have HIV.
Yeah.
That could one day have it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a time now to find out more about it,
mm-hmm.
to be aware of it, to make sure you get tested, to do all the things that you could do to put the precautions in place
mm-hmm.
so that you don't get to a point where, do you know what I mean? You don't know anything about it and then it's too late.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. So whilst it's raising awareness and celebrating the people with HIV, hopefully it will be something that can be celebrated within the people that don't have it, and to raise awareness to them as well.
Yeah. So when the single Little Respect, so when is that going to happen? When can people look for that and expect to see that?
It's being recorded at the moment, isn't it? So it'll be a long process over the next few months, but the plan is to release it beginning of December for the World AIDS Day. So we were thinking originally around September time, weren't we? Partly because we're running the London Marathon in October, so we kind of had the thought of trying to do it just before that. But I think there's something more poignant about it being around World AIDS Day. And Christmas #1, baby. So
Exactly. That wouldn't be bad at all, would it? So you said I was going to ask you about this. You were both running the London Marathon for Terence Higgins to raise money for Terence Higgins Trust. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I saw a video of you running the other day, and I was just like, oh my goodness! I was like, why? But no, it's great.
During lockdown, we all didn't do any exercise. Yeah. Some people did, but they were just mad.
Most of us did.
But then I saw people doing this couch to 5k, and I remember when I used to go to the gym, I used to do half an hour on the treadmill to warm up. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, I could do that. And then it's always been my ambition to do the London Marathon before I was 40, which is next April. So I was like, I've got no time left, I have to do it this year.
It has to be this year.
And then I looked into it, I was like, and I didn't want to just do it for the sake of it. It was at the time that It's a Sin came out, and Rob and I both felt, watching it, that we wanted to do more. And I looked into it, and they had some places, so I was like, brilliant, this is perfect. I get to do the marathon before I'm 40, and I get to do it for a charity that I really care about.
So have you both been practicing?
Well, I did a half marathon in April. That was the Royal Parks half marathon, which ended up being virtual. But I did that, and I did a half marathon the year before. So I've kind of gone to that length, but I've never finished a half marathon, and I'm like, I would not do another one. I would not do anything worse.
Now you're going to do double that.
I know. So I haven't gone any further than that. But training starts very soon, I think. It's at the point now where I need to start again. I had a bit of a break for a while because I couldn't maintain that kind of long distance for that long.
Yeah, so I got up to about 17. So the marathon's 42k, and I got up to about 17. We're looking forward to it because it's the people that we know who've done it before say it's an incredible experience. You feel knackered afterwards, but
and I really hope it will be in the same way it always is with the big crowds. In London around the the usual track, because there's nothing worse than trying to run something like that without the atmosphere and without the people behind you, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah. So going back to that fest, how do you hope that fest will make a difference? Is it more about informing and educating, or is it more about the stories?
For me, there's a few things, but as you are a perfect example of someone who talks about your status. And we know people who don't, and they're not quite comfortable. And that is fair, because everybody has their own journey. They come to their own point. But what we hope we're going to do is present people that might inspire them.
Yeah.
And make it easy for them, and just to feel like it's like anything about identity. If you see other people, you don't feel alone.
Yeah.
You'll be, if you see yourself represented somewhere, it helps. So I think that's the biggest thing for us, to like kind of show representation, to try and help people out, and whether that comes in the form of that inspires them to talk or come out themselves, that's up to them.
Yeah.
But if it just makes them feel better,
Yeah.
that is.
I think it's having that support. It's like being gay in a community, or anyone in the LGBTQ plus community. I think you look 20 years ago, we're in such a different place now, and how somebody would have been living that time, and they might have known something, but they weren't confident, or they didn't feel supported, or they didn't feel like anyone was feeling the same as them. I feel like we've all done such an amazing thing to get to this point. We've got so long to go, but the community there is so much bigger, and somebody who might want to come out as anything now would feel so much more supported. I would hope. So it's a bit like that in the HIV part of it as well. Maybe it just will show that support, that people are doing something to raise that awareness, to reduce the stigma.
I remember when I did my one-man show in New York, and it was amazing the amount of people that just, after the show had finished, you would just get somebody pulling you aside and just whispering, I'm HIV positive as well and nobody knows. And it used to break my heart in a lot of ways, but it also made me go, I said, well, now somebody knows. I was you've told somebody, and when I heard that you guys were doing this, I was just like, I was so excited, because I just thought it gives the chance for, as you say, for those that do talk about it, to talk about it again, but for those who maybe don't feel ready or don't feel able, to know that they're not alone, and that there's people out there fighting for them and working hard for them and supporting them, and there, as you say, there's so much more support now, so there's so many good things that I think are going to come from that fest. So the charity single, which I'm going to be on, is going to be A Little Respect by Eurasia. Then what's next? What have you? I know there's some plans for next year, so what is that going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we hope to create a kind of a festival of different work over a period of time, whether that's one night, one day, 2 days, a week, and that's still very much in progress. It's about finding the right venue and about finding the right material that we're gonna produce. And obviously COVID's been a difficult situation to try and do something like this, because of scheduling and programming at certain theatres. As you've got to book so far in advance at the moment with these sort of things, and it's so there's hopes and there's dreams, certainly maybe towards the end of this year, if not from the beginning of next year, to do maybe a couple of days event, and we're looking at potentially working maybe in London, maybe a bit in Manchester as well, and trying to tie those two venues in as well. So be that screenings of things, songs, productions, musicals, talks, live chats.
We kind of want it to be a celebration, first and foremost, of the work done by artists living with HIV, but also to educate and inform. Like all the work we want to put out will have an updated view of. I mean, it was so powerful when Billy Porter came out, because the headline was, "This is what HIV looks like now." And I think it's great that we've got these amazing plays like Angels in America, and these TV shows like Pose, but they tell a story
the time
of a generation. So we want to kind of rectify that by kind of putting these new stories out to kind of update. I mean, this is the biggest thing when we talk about this conversation, is that the government did such a great job in the 80s of like scaring us all to hell, but they've never rectified it, and they've never kind of done enough, I don't think, to kind of update everybody and inform everybody, well actually this is where we are now. I think some people are aware of it, but not many. Like there's still people who still think it's a death sentence.
I've been saying it for years that there needs to be a new campaign, and that's
on that scale.
On that scale, that's across the board, because that campaign from all those years ago is still etched into so many people's minds, you know, and it's kind of scary to think that people think that, a lot of people do think that is still how it is, and that fest is going to be a great film.
And that's the thing, like, even It's a Sin, as we mentioned, like, it was a brilliant series, but it didn't do anything to kind of evolve or change people's opinions. It just kind of reinforced their kind of misconceptions, or the fact that that's how it was. That's not how it is.
The world has changed a lot in the last 40 years. And so science, and so
there's so many things, isn't there? There's PrEP, there's PET, there's U equals U, there's which I find that, you know, my friends now are up to date with it because I talk about it all the time. But they said, Stephen, we wouldn't know about it, you know, if you didn't talk about it, we wouldn't be aware of it, you know. So it's important that people are out there talking.
And this is the most important reason why it is important, because it's not, if we look at it, if we break it down, the gay community is so clued up now. We know how to protect ourselves, and we know everything about it because we're kind of more invested in it. Where it's the other side of that, the people who are straight women, for example, who think that they don't have anything to worry about, they're the ones that need to be aware that they're just as at risk, and they should be getting tested just as regularly as we are.
And it'd be good to give them a voice as well, you know, because not having a go at It's a Sin or other things, but so often it's been the gay disease, you know, and I know so many women that are living with it, you know, who, as you say, straight middle-aged women, you know, who
get it in different ways. There's so many different ways you can get it.
So it's really exciting. I'm really looking.
We're really happy to have you on board as well.
I'm really pleased. It's going to be. It's just great to be able to be out there and speaking about it, and have other people speaking about it. And as you said, Philip, you know, it being a celebration rather than a sad, you know.
We're not pointing.
Exactly.
Singling them out for the wrong reason. It's kind of it's a positive aspect.
But where, if people want to find out more about that fest, where do they go?
Social media channels. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at That Fest UK. We have a website on there. If you click on that link, it tells you everything about us. We're fundraising at the moment, so we're raising money for these events that we're producing, and we're also raising money for Terence Higgins for our marathon run, which is in October, to get donated.
And just to repeat again, so the single comes out in December.
We've got a brilliant team who came on board to do the video, which we're hoping to film in August. We're hoping it'll be all recorded by the end of July, and then do the video in August. But we are now going to kind of wait until December to release it, we think. But we're excited. I mean, I love that song anyway.
It's just a classic.
It's a real good song as well.
And the producers, so what we've done, we went back to the original producer, Stephen Hay, from the original 1988 version, and offered him the opportunity to come back. And he is so
left on it, hasn't he?
Because for him it's like kind of, it's his baby, and the chance for him to update it 30 years later for a new audience and celebrate. That's why we went to him as well, because we kind of wanted to be a kind of like throwback. It will be a new version, and by the sounds of it, it's going to sound amazing from what we know already. But it will have a few nods to the original, which I can't wait. I'm excited.
Do you know? I think it's going to be. This is going to be a really important project for people who are just ready to talk. You know, I think there are a lot. I think there are a lot of people on the brink. You know, I know people who you know, want to talk but are just scared. So something like this will be a great way of letting people know that it's okay. You know, so thank you.
Especially for the industry as well, because I know. You talked about your experience all those years ago, but then I know people 2 or 3 years ago who had problems with disclosing it, and I think there was one example, someone who had a show booked in a foreign country, and it caused a problem with their visa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all kind of stuff that, and I had a friend who changed agents recently and wasn't sure whether to tell their agent, and I was like, why would you not?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
and then he did. He told his agent, and his agent put him up for a HIV advert
Right.
because he knew. He was like,
Yeah.
now that I know this,
Yeah.
we found that this is, look at this project. Why don't you do this?
Mhm.
And as
So
an
that's-
agent, from an agent's perspective, that's not something
Yeah.
you're going to ask a client. Like,
No.
oh, by the way, are you HIV?
Yeah.
You do that. It's a very difficult
Mm.
subject to bring up. So it's important that people voice it from the beginning.
Yeah, and use it as something positive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
This is something I've got up on everyone else.
The world is changing, and they talk about authenticity. And for this brief in particular, the company wanted people living with HIV, actors who were living with HIV.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was only because he told his agent that he.
And I
got
think
it.
if we can help one person or 1,000 people,
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think that's the.
And like I said,
Reality.
we recognise that obviously Mad Trust has decided recently that they're no longer going to operate.
Mhm.
But the amount of work that they did, and we're happy to kind of take on that mantle now and like stand on their shoulders and
Yeah.
like continue the incredible work that they
Yeah,
did.
the wonderful work.
Because we've all been to their events, we love them, and it's a shame that they won't be doing them anymore.
Mhm.
But it leaves a space, hopefully, that we'll be able to take on.
Yep. Well, thank you guys. It's been great being here and talking to you today. There's a lot for you guys to look forward to. There's a lot for you to look into, and go to the website, have a look at what that fest is. These guys, as they say, they're running the marathon. So go and check out what they're doing and what that fest is all about. And I will have a lot more to say. We'll do more videos.
We'll get you in when we get you in to record your bit.
Yeah.
We'll keep you updated, definitely. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Rob
Thank you.
and Philip. Thank you for doing this. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. If you want to know anything about the project that we haven't spoken about today, please put it in the comment section below. I will get onto these guys and I'll be like, what is this and how is this, and ask them how it's working and what they need to know. If you've got any ideas or anything that might be.
Well, that was it. Right. We put a call out very early on that we want artists living with HIV to come to us if they have work that they want to present.
Mhm.
We're delighted to hear from, and people have already started to reach out to us as well, which is brilliant.
Which is great.
It's great. I'm really excited about it. So thanks, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you again.
Rob, and thank
Thank
you,
you.
Philip. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time.